and welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are staying safe in this crazy time. Normally I am kind of more of a vlog channel, at least of lately before everything went down, but trying to find ideas to post my channel, and my boyfriend Ross has been begging me to do a story time video of my time working at a car dealership because it was quite the experience. But I don't know, I watched one of my old storytime videos and it was so cringy, and I was trying so hard, and I was like, how can anybody watch this? So I'm going to try to make this video less cringy for you guys. So at the time I didn't have a job and I desperately needed one, so I went out actually job hunting with one of my friends, and my boyfriend, I guess my boyfriend's name is Ross, so I'm just gonna say Ross instead of my boyfriend all the time. Ross said that I should try handing out resumes at different car dealerships because they're always looking for different people, and I was thinking maybe I could be a receptionist. It wasn't something I had ever done before, but I thought maybe they would pay a little bit more than what I've been used to, and I don't know, I thought I would like it. So we went to the Auto Mall and handed out tons of resumes, and when I handed one out to Acura, the receptionist who was sitting there said, actually, we are looking for a receptionist. Did you just want to like hang out a minute? I'll see if the manager's free. I'm like, totally. So we actually got like a pre-interview that day, and I actually had a bad feeling about the manager the moment I spoke to him, but I was so desperate for a job that I didn't really care, and I ended up getting the job, obviously, or else it wouldn't be this story time. And I really liked most of the people I worked with there. The other receptionist there, love her. She's great. We're actually still friends, and she's my scary movie buddy. So if you're watching this, hey. Actually, yeah, I liked lots of the people that worked there. There was obviously some people that were not so great, but the main focus of this story is the manager, and his name was Ray. He was a Jamaican guy, and that doesn't have anything to do with the story. I just want to give you a picture of what he looked like. So I'm not like a psychologist or anything like that, but he obviously had some kind of personality problem. The way I describe it to people is bipolar. Like, you didn't know if he was going to be nice that day or want to make you cry that day, and I hated coming to work. So before I get into everything that happened, and I might forget some things, or some things might be out of order because this was like at least 5 years ago, probably almost 6 at this point. Like, this was a long time ago, when I was young and innocent. So my shift was 9 to 6 with an hour lunch break, Tuesday to Saturdays. And Saturdays I actually worked all day, which I think all dealerships do. I'm not sure, maybe it was just a couple of them that I know, but the receptionist works 9 to, is it 9? No, I think it's 8:30 to 6. I can't remember, but you don't get a lunch break or any break whatsoever. And if you need to go to the bathroom, you're supposed to call one of the salesmen to look after the phone for like 2 minutes while you're in the bathroom, which is really annoying because at Acura, the phones were set up in a way that all of the phones rang, when somebody called in, it wasn't just the receptionist phone. So any of the salespeople could just pick up the phone if they noticed that I wasn't at the desk. So that was kind of weird. But yeah, every Saturday they would order food. Well, actually, I would order food. So most of the time it was pizza, unless somebody requested something else like subs. And yeah, that was the only redeemable part of Saturdays, or else it's just torture because you're sitting there all day with no break and you hate your life. But that's just like a small part of it. I'm just trying to paint a picture of how my schedule worked. So I kind of want to get a little bit more into Ray now. So for whatever reason, he always kept a little bit of change in his pocket, and he would rattle the change, why does that sound weird? He'd rattle the change around in his pocket wherever he would go. So in a way, it was kind of nice because you always knew where he was, but at the same time, it was like an intimidating thing that he did. Anyways, I hated that. Another thing, he always wanted me and Jody to be doing something at all times, which is kind of unrealistic for a receptionist position, because if you're done all of your work and you have no phone calls, you can't leave your desk because you're the receptionist. Like, what are you supposed to do? So he had us doing these, like, I want to say like a webinar, but like a video that like teaches you something, and then you have to do like a test at the end. And we did like all the ones for like receptionist positions, and then after that he was like, I don't really care what you're doing, but you have to be doing something. And so Jody and I would like pretend to be doing something every time he'd come around, because like it's so ridiculous. So one time I got called into Ray's office, and I thought that was strange because usually Jody gets called into his office and he always gives her like these weird extra tasks to do, like open the cabinet that's behind him and file something. Like, I don't know why he couldn't do that. But he called me into his office, and it was because I guess they have people call in for like fake calls, so they're not real customers, but it's just like to see how you would react to a certain situation. So one time I answered the phone, and it was this girl who was blabbering on about something I didn't understand, because I'm just a receptionist. I don't know anything about cars. If you ask me about a car, I'll transfer you to a salesperson. Or if you ask me about like, oh, like my car's broke down, what should I do? I'll transfer you to service. Like, I'm just like the person who answers the phone and change. Like, I don't know anything about anything. And so this person was like blabbering on about something. I did not understand what department she needed to be transferred to. I tried to ask her questions to figure it out, and then at one point I was just like, I'm sorry, I don't know what you're trying to ask. I don't know who you're trying to speak to. And at some point I'm like, oh, I think she needs service. So then I transferred that person to service, and then girl in service answered it. And so we were actually both in his office, and he got mad at me because I said, I don't know, on the phone. I said, like, if I don't understand a question, what am I supposed to say? He was like, well, go find someone to help answer the question. So he'd rather me put the person on hold, me run around, try to find somebody, try to explain it to them, which they're obviously not going to understand, and then get them on the phone, and then it doesn't make any sense. He was like really mad at me because I said I don't know. I've never had this issue ever in my life, prior or past this, but it was a big issue that he made over this. Speaking of getting called into his office, I got called into his office I want to say like midday one time, and he said, this is going to be your last shift, and at the end of the day you're done working here. And I was like, what the heck? I didn't really know why I was getting fired, but I hated working there so much that I didn't try to save my job or anything. I was like, okay. So I told the other receptionist, Jody, about it, and she's like, that is so weird. Like, I wonder why he's firing you. Like, we need a second receptionist. Like, I'm not gonna work on Saturdays. And I was like, I don't know, I guess it's your guys' problem. Like, I don't know what to do about it. And yeah, I went home and I was like, okay, well, I guess I'll have to start looking for a new job. And I told my mom about it, and she's like, she got so mad. She's like, you go back there and you get your job back. And I was like, oh, I really, really don't want to, but at the same time, I do really need a job. I can't just like be jobless, even though I'm not technically jobless right now, but it kind of feels like I am. Like, I am not working at all today. So I went back a couple days later, and because I had been talking to the receptionist, Jody, in the meantime, and she's like saying like they haven't hired anybody back. Like, if you want to come back, you could probably get your job back. So I talked to the new car sales manager, the used car sales manager, and Ray, the manager, and trying to get my job back. And it sounded like the reason that he fired me was because I wasn't outspoken enough. Like, when a customer walks through the door, I shouldn't be just sitting at my table or desk waiting for them to come up to me to ask me what to do. I should be rushing to the door and like asking them if I can help them and where I can direct them. I'm like, how? People don't like when you do that. So anyways, that's the reason he said he fired me, which is really bizarre to me because he never brought that up while I was working there before he just fired me. But anyways, they ended up rehiring me, and I ended up staying there for a total, from the beginning to my time there to the end, was 8 months-ish. I think they really missed me when they fired me, because when they hired me back, they gave me $1 raise per hour, and they also gave me extra duties. So as well as like, I was going to be a part-time receptionist then, and then I was going to be a part-time inventory controller slash photographer person. Like, I would take pictures, I would drive the vehicle out to the spot that we always took pictures of the vehicles, like the inside and the out. Then I would upload it to our website, make a caption like why you should buy this vehicle, it's so great. And then I would also put some vehicles into our inventory. I didn't do that as much because we had like a full-time inventory controller, but just if she couldn't come to work or if she was on vacation or something. And then when the receptionist needed help or she was on break or whatever, then I would go back to the front. And sitting in the back with the inventory controller was so great because Ray would never come back there, and we could actually just like be people and talk to each other. Because if I was sitting up at the front and a salesperson came over to talk to me, Ray would get so mad and he'd say like, you're not allowed to talk to them and you tell them to go away. I'm like, I'm just sitting here not doing anything. They're obviously not doing anything. Why can't we just talk for 5 minutes? Anyways, I can't remember if this happened before I got fired or after they rehired me, but at one point Jody said that she couldn't come in early. I don't remember why, this was a long time ago, but she couldn't come early, so she was wondering if I would start at 8, which is the normal time that she would start at, and then she would start at 9, and then she would stay till 6 and then I would stay till 5. Like we would just switch shifts. It's not that big a deal. I was like, yeah, for sure, because I like eating. I'm not a morning person at all, but I would way rather work super early and get off super early than work a little bit later and get off later. Anyways, that's not the point of the story. So I came in early. I think this was Wednesday. And so I'm like setting up my things at the desk. And Ray walks over and he said, "What are you doing here?" So I explained the situation that, well, Jody she's gonna come in at 9, so I'm here early. And he's like, "Okay, well, who's staying till 9? And I was like, "Nobody's staying till 9. And he said, "Somebody has to stay here till 9 or one of you is getting fired." And I almost started laughing because I was like, "Ray, it's Wednesday." And he was like, "Oh, okay." I think they do that for pretty much all dealerships, where Thursdays they're open till 9 because most dealerships are closed by 6, and sometimes if you're working all day you can't get to the dealership, so one day they're open later if you need to go later. I'm just like he threatened to fire one of us because we wouldn't stay till 9 on a day that the dealership closes at 6. Yeah, so one of the biggest things that happened while I was there, they hired this guy. He was going to be a salesperson. I can't remember what they're called, for people that don't have really good credit, whatever that's called. And so he was sitting at reception with me, like asking me different questions, and I was telling him about the dealership and different things that he should know. I don't know, he was just being friendly. And at receptionist we keep the debit machine, and so I don't know if I took someone's payment or if he just asked me about the debit machine. And it's not like a secret, like the salespeople know what the debit machine number is, I thought. So I gave it to him so he could use it if I wasn't going to be there or whatever. And then he said, "I'm just going to pop over quickly to Tim Hortons," which was like a block away, not even, "and I'll be right back. Do you want anything?" And I was like, this guy's like so nice, like, yeah, if you're offering, like, I'll have something. And he never came back. Not that day, not ever. He just like up and quit. He didn't even quit, he just left. And I was like, dude, that's so weird. And then a while later, Jody was doing the deposit for the bank, and she was like, "We're so short, like I don't understand," like she couldn't find the money anywhere. So we looked back at the cameras, and he came in and took the money out of the debit machine. And I got questioned, like, "Did you give him the PIN code?" I was like, "Well, yeah, he worked here." Oh, they were so mad at me, and I wasn't allowed. So since I did that, then they told me I wasn't allowed to use the debit machine anymore, which is ridiculous. I think that I was never told I couldn't give it out to people who worked there, so I just wasn't allowed to use it. So it was either the managers or Jody. Like, I'm a very trustworthy person. If you told me, "Hey, you're only allowed to use this," and the managers, I wouldn't have given it out. But like, I understand why they were upset, but I feel like that's a little bit extreme. I'm a really hard worker, and I wouldn't just like sabotage the company for no reason. Yeah, so I mentioned it before. So I worked there for about 8 months, and I kept track of how many people quit because of Ray. 19 people quit because of Ray in my 18 months I was there. Like, people hated him. Like, he made life way harder than it needed to be, and people hated coming to work. And just, I don't know, I just feel like if you're trying to run a business, you should treat your employees well so they won't just keep leaving you, so you have to retrain other people. Anyways, I did end up finally quitting and getting a way better job that I actually got treated really well at. And that was a change. But yeah, after I finished working there, I was at a lacrosse game. That's what it's called. A rush lacrosse game. That's like one of the fun things that you can do here in Saskatoon, though you can't do that right now. So I think it was the championship game, and so we're just sitting there cheering. One of the players on the opposite team got a ball in the net, and somebody from like way further back in the rows threw their full beer across the crowd, and it hit a young girl. And I looked back to see like who this idiot was that threw the beer. It was a guy that worked in service at Acura. Like, freaking idiots. So anyways, that was my time working at Acura. I never thought I would go back to working at a dealership, but if you haven't seen my vlog, I think it was my Chicago vlog, I talked about getting a job. I worked at Volkswagen for a little bit, and that one also deserves a story time because the things that happened there were actually more extreme. It happened with more than one person, and just like a lot of crazy things happened. So if you're interested in another story time, let me know. I'm definitely up to doing it. I hope the story time was somewhat entertaining. If it was, I'd love it if you give me a like and subscribe to my channel for more content. And yeah, I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys. I just wanted to quickly throw this in here because I think it's worth telling. At one point when I was doing like the inventory control, like working with the website and stuff, the used car sales manager told me to change the prices of the used cars vehicles, any price that I wanted, as long as it was a little bit more than what we had said it was, and then say that was the original price and the price that we had set it for was the sales price. So we were essentially lying, and I don't know how that could be legal. So you guys, don't believe everything you hear.